What's going on, BFL fam? I'm Carlos, and please welcome Mr. Aaron Terrence. Oh my God, the second that I start recording, the phone rings. Let me turn this off. What's going on, BFL fam? I'm Carlos, and welcome back to Brooklyn Fragrance Lover. Please welcome Mr. Aaron Terrence Hughes.
Yay, nice to meet you at last.
Finally. I feel like I know you. We've been interacting online for many months now.
I would have come over to see you, but all this COVID thing happened, so yeah, it's this will have to do. But yay, hooray.
I was looking forward to that. Let's talk about how we found each other. You actually found me.
Yeah.
You reached out to me, and there was something about my channel or my personality that you took a liking to.
So when this first started, so my brand's been around for a little bit, and then I was sort of thinking about who can I reach, and I started looking at fragrance channels, and I started looking at how people speak about it, and not necessarily about how they speak about fragrance, almost like their energy, and about, are they sort of positive, are they happy people, are they somebody that I would want to associate with, or are they negative dickheads who are just into like really slamming fragrances because it's going to get them likes. And I don't ever want to be associated with somebody who isn't on the same wavelength as me. And there was a lot of like messages that you were giving that I sort of were very nice, sort of like the end was like be kind to each other, all those sort of things. And I thought, okay, well that's exactly sort of like the person you know who I am. It's quite obvious in your videos that's what you like.
Thank you. I appreciate it. As for your work, I was really pretty much blown away because it had the depth of what I personally like the depth of Tom Ford private blends. Yeah. And they were creative, they were original, and they were long lasting.
Yeah. Totally agree.
And very well thought out, not just, okay, here's a release, I'm putting it out. No, there's emotion and raw emotion. Watching your review, like other people's work, there is so much passion that exudes from you. It's quite remarkable to witness and watch.
Thank you. Well, years ago, I loved Tom Ford. On my channel, I have somebody, because I develop perfume, I've got a factory, I've got someone who edits my videos for me. I ain't got time to and it's very, very time consuming. And I
know. I do everything myself.
Yeah, I just don't, I mess up, I'm dyslexic, so I would end up, and I get very frustrated, so I leave it for a brilliant video unicorn to do. And he's limited me on doing Tom Ford reviews, because initially I really loved the original Tom Fords. I loved Black Orchid. I loved, I exactly like you, I feel like they were different, they were interesting, they were innovative, the names are all sort of quite interesting as well, and they were never trying to be like another brand. I don't know what it's like, I haven't smelled anything for ages, but I think like my favorite period was like when he did his ouds. That did, I really like, and I smelled Tuscan leather when it, maybe, I don't know how many years and years ago. I was really shocked, and that was the first time I ever got shocked to the smell of cocaine in like a fragrance, and it was that's always stuck to me, like to always be a bit surprising, be a bit shocking, but the way that Tom Ford makes stuff, I really love. I love the way that they use a lot of dark, heavy, natural compounds. It's really, I think Tom Ford's really brilliantly. Well, actually, since on this journey, I think Parfum de Marly, I think is really good. I've fallen in love with that house as well. So,
wow. So we have a lot in common.
Yeah, I love sort of very heavy, woody, natural-based, well-crafted fragrances that sort of ebb and flow and change. And so my brand, I always felt like that you could take sort of some of the ouds and you could put it in the Tom Ford, and you think, okay, it fits in that demographic. The one I've got, my most favorite one, I always say that, is called Oxytocin. I will be sending these out to America, and I'll be sending it on to you and to Stephen. This one is the most amazing one I've ever developed. And
wow.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. Wow. Awesome.
It was initially it was the rose fragrance, but people didn't understand the rose fragrance, which was just like a top to put on the top of a fragrance to give it elevation. And it didn't really sell, so I thought, right, I really need to redevelop it.
Cool.
Because it's all very well having these ideas, but if things don't sell, you need to redevelop it so people understand it. So,
speaking of that, like a little negativity. I love Tom Ford, but a lot of my like hardcore favorites, he's discontinued. That's so annoying. Like Japin Noir, Velvet Gardenia, Amber Absolute.
But sometimes it can be down to there's a lot of regulations that are. It's not just
I understand
it's
that.
to do with like there's lots of laws and things that happen before. And IFRA does have a part to play, but there's also like the government sort of will decide, they'll take all these things and they'll discontinue stuff. And sometimes when they discontinue a raw material and they'll bring out a alternative, it can be 5 times as expensive. So the perfumer, it's like they've just discontinued Liril. And Liril's beautiful, it's really lovely, it's a white floral note. And the alternatives are very expensive. So, and that's the sort of thing you sort of think if you've got a consumer that's paying £145 and a key raw material is 5 times as expensive and it isn't the same without it, do you discontinue it? Do you raise the price? What do you do? And a lot of people won't want to pay, you know, an extra $20 for a fragrance and maybe the same. But there's also a lot of things, sometimes it doesn't really sell. Your favorite, sometimes it will may go out of fashion. Something it could be that people are. It's not. There's lots of like decisions, but I get. Yeah, I understand.
The industry is constantly evolving. You know.
Yeah.
Let's touch on the unicorn. What is it about the unicorn that you have embraced so dearly?
Yes. So people, no one's ever asked me about it. People think that it's. I don't think people really understand or grasp what it is, so it's quite interesting. The unicorn isn't a gay thing. It's nothing to do with anything like that at all. I always ask people, what do you see as a unicorn? What is your perception of a unicorn? Unicorns are always very bright, they're always very magical, they're always very beautiful, they're depicted as being very good, spiritual, a bit like sort of an angel, that sort of thing. And my perfumery brain, I'm split into 3. So this perfume brain is very, very childlike and is very creative and is very excitable as like a kid. So all these sort of compounds, it gets very, very excited and just wants to create. It's very artistic. And the nearest thing I can think about is like it's a unicorn brain where it's sort of very beautiful. It's very, it doesn't, that part of my brain doesn't have any it doesn't really have a negative side to it. It's just very pure and very childlike. For me, it feels like a sort of like a 6 to 8 year old, and so like it throws tantrums and things, and that's one side of it. But it really children, very creative children, aren't really. They just love and they're just very excited and like a kid, and so that's why I call it the unicorn side. And that's why when I was thinking about, do I do ATH or do I do this, it was very, very adamant that because I tune into it a lot, this side, this creative side, because I'm creating with it like an artist. No, it wanted a unicorn. It also swears as well. It's also very Tourettesy. So, and then the other side, which is quite interesting, which is there's me stuck in the middle, which is talking to you now, very conscious, very business, just very normal. The other side is like that woman in Devil Wear Prada. That's all. So I have the polar opposite, where I have the adult parental side, almost like filtering and guiding, and that's what I've learned to do with my therapy, is actually to sort of really focus the 2 together. But without the unicorn, this creative child in me, I couldn't create perfume at all. It caused me a lot of problems because it's very it falls in love very easily, and it says things very expressive, and it doesn't really have a
filter.
It doesn't have a filter at all. No, it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand that something the way that it is perhaps not appropriate. But that's why the Amanda Priestley side is very sort of. I'm learning to sort of work with them both, and that's why I'm always sort of think it's very important that everybody goes into therapy, even if they think they don't. Learn to be the best person. I'm an advocate for therapy, finding a really good therapist, and in this country, we're really embarrassed about mental health, and really embarrassed about therapy, and all I see therapy is like making yourself the absolute best version at 100. And that's what I'm learning to do, is these two sides, which are really polar opposite, sort of working together. And when they work together, that's when I create my best work.
Awesome. So I have a couple of your fragrances here, 4 to be exact.
Sure.
Why don't we start with this lovely gem, Slut. What is this one about?
Okay, so initially, that is, if you want to bet, that is the unicorn brain fully giggling at the name. Because initially when I developed the name, because I was told off by so many people, you can't do that, that's really offensive, all of this. And I was just like, it's almost like I have to do it because it's funny. And I got a lot of online problems with it, but it's my best-selling fragrance.
I would imagine that you would have.
But I call them, the people who don't like it, they're anti-unicorn, pearl-clutching, anti-unicorn faggot. So I see them clutching their pearl. That's what I see. If you can't laugh at a name, you really like it's too. Perfumes should never be taken that seriously. It should be fun, and it should be something that you love, and it should be really. It's aroma chemicals, it's essential oils in alcohol. It's not the cure for COVID, for fuck's sake. So anyway, Slut was initially designed to be like a. So I really struggle with very citrus fragrances. I work much better with ouds and very dark and chocolates and all of that. I really struggle with citrus fragrances because my skin's sort of quite dark. I go very dark in the summer, Eastern European. So citrus doesn't work well on my skin at all. So developing citrus, I find it quite taxing and quite exhausting actually, because I've almost got to like test it on other people, which is not to see how it's projecting. I think citrus just doesn't last on me at all. So it is.
Citrus notes are definitely volatile. That's what definitely burns off skin the quickest in most perfumes, even the well done ones. I'm sorry.
But they're very difficult to balance with the citrus, with all the aroma chemicals, with the stuff that's hidden to make it sort of like feel like a story. And I wanted a definite story. I wanted like a definite neroli, the orange flower, going down to sweet orange, going down to petty grain, and then sort of wood. So that it's like a curve. That's how I sort of see it. But I wanted it to have lots and lots of projection. You
have one that I liked a lot. Blood orange and something.
Blood orange. Cedarwood and bergamot you liked as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, cedarwood and bergamot never really. The problem is it was the most natural fragrance I did. So I did a lot with naturals. Cedarwood and bergamot was, I'd say, the most natural fragrance I did, and it never really sold because, unfortunately, people don't really want a natural smelling fragrance because with natural smelling fragrances, it smells natural. People are addicted to aroma chemicals, and
that's interesting.
I'm sorry. It never really. It sold, but it never really like
took off. Yeah.
It was sort of like, and I sort of thought, I have to make up quite big, large amounts and everything. We're going into new packaging, everything. Do I really want to spend that amount of money on a fragrance which perhaps doesn't really sell? It really was a business decision. I have to sort of think quite clearly.
Have you gauged your performance in the States? What's selling well here?
Well, we went into Max Aroma and Slut sold out. I sent over quite a lot, and Slut sold out in about, he said, I think about 30 seconds. It went. Damn!
Wow!
So
that is awesome.
Yeah. And now I'm getting all Instagram messages and things saying people that they absolutely love it. And so the differences with this, in this fragrance, you've got real jasmine absolute. And jasmine absolute is really, really beautiful. It's quite restricted, but it's very, it gives a jammy, sweet quality to it. And I think that the key thing with this is the price and the raw materials that are being used. And I think that people aren't used to the raw material. I'm using real sandalwood, I'm using ambergris, I'm using jasmine absolute. I use rose in every single formulation apart from animalics. So you're getting very, very expensive raw materials. Yeah. So Slut took me about, I would say, a month of working. I was having 4 hours sleep a night doing that, and it was awful. But yeah, but people I've got some customers who've got 3 on the go at saying that it's very addictive, and there's also a lot of sex notes in it. So that in slut there are some hidden notes, which when I went and had my Botox, the woman who did my Botox could smell the animal sex notes in slut, and men cannot perceive it. So that's a thing which is I found very, very interesting. I've not come, and I didn't market it as an aphrodisiac thing, but it's a definite thing where women's brains can pick up the sex smell in it. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah.
You might find yourself a nice wifey there, Aaron.
No, I don't think so.
I just.
Peacock or a unicorn, yeah.
All right, so we've got animalics here. This is, for me personally, I like a little better than slut. It's not conformist, it's not typical, but it's got enough of a challenging quality about it, but not overbearingly so. I like this.
Animalics is all bass notes. There is no middle, no top notes, and it's I designed that one in half an hour. So that was done in one go. Yeah, I knew exactly, the perfume brain directed exactly what to do, and I did it in half an hour. Actually,
that's amazing.
Yeah, some things I find very easy. Some things I find really, 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 really taxing. Like neon to me. That was awful. That's why I'm never doing a citrus again. But animalics is all you can sort of smell. The only real animal compound is ambergris, which gives you a leathery, woody. Yeah, a little bit sort of. It's more sort of leathery, suedey, ambery, woody sort of. It's actually quite nice on its own. But in it, you'll smell it's mainly got synthetic deer musk. So it's a lot of deer musk. It's very round and soft. And again, it's just full of animal notes. And the way to wear it is it's so powerful and so potent that I had one person who said, oh, it's too much. I put it on stuff and it's way too strong. You put one spray across yourself and then you apply a fragrance over the top. And what it does, it takes the fragrance which you're bored and it turns it sexual. So it turns it like more beastly, turns it more sort of, it turns it like it's coming from my house. It's got that sort of edge to it. So there's a lot of like animal notes, it turns everything quite dark. And I think it's brilliant when people get their head around it, because you can take something which perhaps you're really bored of, which you've got half a bottle of, and you don't want to throw it away, and 2 sprays maximum, and then apply it over the top, and you get more projection, you get more longevity, it sticks to the skin a lot more, but it's a musk heavy fragrance, so you're not.
Yeah, it's definitely musky. I do like it.
Yeah.
I typically like I like citrus, I like clean, I like florals a whole lot. I like white florals.
I love white
musk, but it works for me in that one. So moving along, we've got Arabica. This is a coffee-based fragrance, I believe.
Yeah, so that has a story. So when I went onto Chris's channel, I reviewed it. So the first video I ever did with him, we did the interview, and then he said, he just chucked some stuff at me. And if you want to see the unicorn brain completely not controlled, just being a total, like, saying what comes into his head, if you watch my eyebrows, you'll see exactly that's unfiltered. Yeah. And that one was a coffee and lavender fragrance. Russian men, I think. And he said, oh, this, and then that sells really well. And I thought it was awful, so it was all Roman chemicals, no naturals in it at all. And so I went home from Chris and I was like, if you think you can do, speaking to myself, if you think you can do better, you make a coffee and lavender fragrance. So I went up to Tesco's and I bought some coffee beans. I put the coffee into alcohol, extracted the coffee tincture the next day, and I made that one, and that one was made in an hour. So that is, that's got, the lavender is so, Spanish lavender is so beautiful, it's soft. It's not, when people think of lavender, they think very hard, English or French lavender, which I don't really like, but it's just very beautiful. And that one was made very fast as well. And the coffee that you're smelling it's a coffee tincture. It isn't a coffee aroma chemicals. It isn't an accord that you buy from it is real coffee in it, and it works. It's blended really well. And it's got some lovely aroma chemicals to lift and flick it at the end. So you've got a lot of supporting. So that one's really good, sort of like with some naturals, some darkness, and then you've got some lovely aroma chemicals to give almost like a pear quality, a sort of a fruity quality in them as well. And that lasts, that's quite monstrous. That lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts as well.
Your performance don't lack in the performance area, I find.
No. I won't put out a fragrance which won't last, but the part of the initial thing is that it's always got to last, got to be monstrous, doesn't matter the price, things have got to last and last and last, and I want projection. That's sort of the thing that I've sort of, and it's got quite a high bar to set. So yeah, I like Arabica. I think Arabica is really good for darker skin types. Actually, because I think it sticks the way it's sort of a lot of patchouli and a lot of like a lot of the heavy background notes to it latch onto skin, and I think it's very good if people are struggling to find a day fragrance to last.
It's funny you should say that, because I've mentioned on several occasions, and people made fun of me, that how perfume wears on darker skin.
Oh God, totally.
You know, people of color, black, brown, you know, it wears differently on us.
Absolutely it does. I know, absolutely it does. Citrus lasts on, the more paler skin you are, the citrus will sit. And I've really got to look into, I said I'm quite tired, but there are reasons, biological reasons, but behind it, it isn't just sort of like and I think maybe it's not said before because it's not really PC, but fuck it, you know, there is, I think if somebody with darker skin wants something which is suitable for their skin, they need to be told, like, this is really good for not only this age, not only for this, but also perhaps the color of your skin as well. Because if you buy citrus and you've got darker skin, it's not going to last, or you're not going to get the monstrous projection that someone who's, you know, got very light skin would get. And I think that that's just human, you know, the human entity. I've got sort of very dark skin, so I struggle with citrus, but I don't struggle with the ouds and with the Middle Eastern sort of stuff.
And lastly, we've got Violet Delirium, a beautiful violet woody fragrance. I think I do like this one a lot. Pardon me. What have we got to say about this here? Let's see. I like violet as a note typically.
So this has got real oud. So a lot of people have, I haven't got my oud, it's all at work now. So to give you an idea of oud, a bottle this size is £1,500, £1,500. That's a sort of the amount that oud costs. And so people are not used to real oud. They're used to aroma chemicals assimilated to give you that feel. Absolutely, and that's because they're putting art for profit. This has got it's got two ouds. It's got a Thai oud and it's got a barnyardy oud, and so that's the base of it. Is that sort of very animalistic oud.
On my skin, it didn't pull animalic notes. It was woody, and you know, a bit smoky, but it wasn't animalic.
The smokiness, but it's not got any sort of real of the filth notes in it. Because it's got the patchouli in it, and it's a very heavy Middle Eastern fragrance, but it has got the incensey sort of note. It's got real jasmine in, real rose, real ambergris, and then it's got I will never say it contains something it doesn't, so I'm not going to bullshit people with that. It has got some sort of accords on the top. Some saffron-y sort of accords. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to bullshit people. And it's got some lovely citrus flickering through, and it's got some lovely ambers flickering through to sort of push and project it. I've got one customer called Phil, and he's got 3 bottles, and he's addicted to it. And there's a chocolate quality to this. So you'll notice in a lot of my stuff, it sort of smells a bit foody. This one goes oudy rose and goes down to sort of like a real chocolate. And this to me is one of the most monstrous ones that I do. It sticks and it lasts and it projects and it carries on and on and on.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Hughes, this was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I know that you were tired and you wanted to reschedule, but you came through and we did it. We did it.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll be sending over. We're getting the oxytocin. I guarantee you'll smell it, because for me there is like, so you have onyx, which is like very opulent, very sweet, very chocolatey.
Love that one.
Vanilla, really gourmand. And then there's Boss Bitch, which is on it next level. That was my most favorite. And then you've got oxytocin, and the three together. If you love onyx, you'll love these three. And I really want you to smell oxytocin. I think is my finest thing so far. I really am very, very proud. I'm very, very proud of it. I think it's a beautiful. It's really gourmandy. It was missing sort of from my range, really something delicious, and yeah, and that's quite monstrous. Yeah.
So I look forward to that. Thank you again for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I'm sure my followers are happy that you came.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and I really look forward to coming over. I'm gonna come when all this bullshit's gone. You know, I'll definitely come over. Yeah. Because,
hopefully soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's over soon. It's like it's horrible now, but.
All right. Have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.
Yeah. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.